Texas has been battered, flattened, and flooded in recent weeks. Cars crept through dangerous floodwaters in Corpus Christi on Thursday. Some couldn't quite make it, submerged nearly to their roofs.
Alright, y'all. This is Rutledge. Y'all got this. I ain't with it.
There you go. Huh? Tony, go down there. Alright, y'all. This is Rutledge. Y'all got this. I ain't with it.
Mana yung kasirian? Allah Allah.
Hiçbir şey görünmüyor. Her taraf bembeyaz lan. Hiçbir şey görünmüyor ya. Böyle bir şey olamaz.
Yere bak yere.
Patlamış mısır gibi lan.
Yere baksana yere.
Şuraya bakın lan. Patlamış mısır bildiğin lan.
Her şey yıkıldı. Gördüğünüz gibi konteyner. Gördüm. Adam gitti. Adam gitti.
Tam çekiyordum. Tam kapattım, araba gidiyordu. Oo.
There is a state of emergency in California's Santa Barbara County this morning. Crews are rushing to protect the coastline from a large oil spill that now stretches 9 miles. Some 20,000 gallons may have reached the ocean after a pipeline ruptured Tuesday. Carter Evans is at Refugio State Beach in Goleta with a look at the damage already done. Carter, good morning.
Good morning. Cleanup crews were out here all day yesterday, and they've actually made some significant progress. The rocks out here and some of the sand is looking a lot better, but they still got a long way to go. And while the full environmental impact of this spill is still unclear, we're starting to see some of the first victims of this disaster.
2 days before the Memorial Day holiday weekend, this stretch of coastline looks more like a hazmat scene than a place for beachgoers. Workers in white protective suits and helmets are scooping up lumps of crude from the blackened sand and hauling it off in clear plastic bags. The owner of the ruptured pipe, Plains All American Pipeline, is taking full responsibility.
We apologize for the damage that is done to the wildlife and to the environment. We are here to make it right.
So far, skimmer boats and vacuum trucks have reportedly collected at least 6,000 gallons of oil, a fraction of the 100,000 gallons that may have leaked from the pipe. The crude is now threatening area wildlife. Santa Barbara County's district attorney is considering criminal and civil charges against the pipeline owner.
Animals have died and suffered. The kind of effect that this oil will have will last a lifetime. And we want to hold whoever is responsible for this responsible.
It wouldn't be the first legal trouble for Plains All American Pipeline. The company was forced to pay $44 million in pipe upgrades and civil penalties 5 years ago after 10 leaks around the country. In the meantime, several thousand people who usually visit this popular camping and sunbathing destination will be turned away, as 2 state beaches will remain closed through the holiday weekend.
We realize that it's an inconvenience, and we know that people's plans, especially over this weekend and next weekend, are going to be impacted by these activities.
Well, Plains American Pipeline says the pipe that ruptured was not part of the upgrades from the 2010 settlement, but it says that there were no problems with this pipeline before, and they won't know the exact cause of the rupture until they can excavate the pipe in question. Gail?
All right, Carter, thank you.
Now confirming that they have 3 cases of a respiratory virus that has already killed hundreds of people in the Middle East. It's called Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS. It is in the same family as the common cold and SARS. The virus can cause fever, breathing issues, pneumonia, and kidney failure.
Although in the great scheme of what we see globally in some of the disasters, this is comparatively small. Even so, it must be quite a scary experience to be in a house that is actually shaken.
It was quite remarkable and not what I expected. When you see movies, you expect this kind of constant sound of earthquake movement. In fact, again, it sounded like a slow train moving filled with rocks through one's room, and it lasted for about 10 seconds. The whole house shook. All the seagulls screamed alarm here on the coast and fled into the air. The dogs started barking, and for about 10 seconds the house shook, the crockery rattled, and then it went quiet again. And after that I went straight to Twitter to try and find out what was happening. And it was very, very interesting how quickly Twitter responded, and it was a way of actually kind of sourcing where the epicenter might have been and who was affected between Essex and Kent.
Yeah, it seems to be, when we look at the tweets, quite a big area, almost a sort of 100 miles where people are responding to this.
It was. It's interesting, in 2007 there was a small earthquake. It was centered just off Folkestone. I believe that was much deeper. We didn't feel that one. Last night was quite remarkable and brought home the dangers of such a thing, because if it had been a larger earthquake, tragically like Nepal, you could see that nobody would get out of the house quickly enough to actually react or respond to it. And it was quite an alarming and shaking experience, and that was only a 4.2 or 4.3.
So the comparisons to Nepal are interesting. I mean, as far as we're aware, no reports yet of any damage or injuries, which is at least the positive news from all of this.
Well, Kent Police have tweeted that there's no reports of damage, and the BBC have done much the same. I've looked outside this morning. The dogs have been out for a look. They can't find anything either. It looks like life is normal here at Westgate-on-Sea near Margate in Kent.
Well, let's hope it stays that way. Simon, thanks for your time.
First of all, what happened in the early hours of this morning? We're talking shortly before 3 o'clock when we saw that epicenter just by Ramsgate, 4.2 in magnitude, but that isn't all, is it? Because it was felt over a far wider scale than that. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, you're looking at places where people reported they felt the earthquake. I think near the epicenter, people will have it will have felt like a lorry going past the house and juddering the building. Yeah. I don't think many people have seen things falling over or the lights swaying, but just a strong vibration, which had only gone on for a few seconds. It was felt in France and Belgium as well, which isn't on this map.
Nice of us to share our tremors like that. Yeah. But all the way up, as we see there, to Bicester and Stamford as well. So in terms of the magnitude, you were saying there, not big enough really to cause major damage, but nevertheless quite significant when you look at it in that way. Explain what we're looking at here.
Well, this is the trace on a seismometer nearby in the UK, and it's calibrated for giving details of very tiny tremors which go on. Now, a magnitude 4 and a bit earthquake has 10 times more vibration than a magnitude 3 earthquake, which is 10 times more vibration than magnitude 2. So this is here's a trace, not much happening, and then it suddenly arrives and wham, 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 wham. But that was the shaking, and you can see it probably did only last just a few seconds.
And of course, we're not strangers to tremors like that, are we? Even though we think it's remarkable. We had one of a similar magnitude, well, at Folkestone 2007. Yep. Go back to 1382, we had one of 5.8 magnitude, 1580.
That one killed people.
That one did?
Yeah.
I mean, because normally when we say earthquakes on this scale, they don't cause major structural damage, or do they?
It depends how close they are to the surface and how close they are to a built-up area. I mean, this was in the middle of the English Channel, but even so, people in London, 2 children in London were killed by stones falling from a roof on that one. Nobody was killed in Folkestone 9 years ago. Nobody was killed today.
Nobody was killed today, thankfully. Nevertheless, people did wake up and realise what was going on. In fact, just take a look at some of the reaction we've had on social media. You can see there are people there tweeting, saying, woke to the house shaking. My God, that earthquake has freaked me out. My house really shook. Can the Kent earthquake really have been 4.3 magnitude? Whole house shook. Interesting question. How does this compare to what happened in Nepal, the devastating earthquake we saw?
Okay, well, Nepal was magnitude 7.8, almost magnitude 8, so that is almost 10,000 times stronger than the Kent earthquake, and that was very shallow as well. Similar depth to this, actually, but if you're close to the Nepal earthquake, where one plate is grinding over another, the movement there, the Himalayas lurched southwards by about 4 metres. The movement here would have been about 4 centimetres.
Well, parts of the southern plains will see more drenching rains today. The powerful system could produce severe weather through the holiday weekend. Areas from Kansas to Texas are at the highest risk. Drivers in Corpus Christi waded through floodwaters. Some pushed cars to dry ground. Vicente Arenas is in Wichita Falls, Texas, with preparations for this weekend's threat. Vicente, good morning.
Good morning. The rising Wichita River and creeks like these have been causing problems for people who live in the area. Right now, I'm standing in an area that's usually bone dry, but now these rising floodwaters are threatening homes like this one. There are nearly 200 houses and businesses now at risk. Wow! Texas has been battered, flattened, and flooded in recent weeks. Cars crept through dangerous floodwaters in Corpus Christi on Thursday. Some couldn't quite make it, submerged nearly to their roofs. And luckily, no children were on board this school bus in Fort Worth when it was washed off the road.
Getting ready.
People here in the North Texas community of Wichita Falls filled sandbags ahead of the 7 inches of rain expected this weekend. Hundreds have already been asked to evacuate their homes.
It's just an overall sense of just trying to be as prepared as possible for what's to come.
It's a stark contrast from just days ago when the city was in a severe drought.
I caught over there.
Now, dozens are staying at Red Cross shelters to escape the threatening waters.
Are you playing? Yeah.
Including Deanne Lee and her 2 children.
I piled everything up on top of beds. Some of the stuff I couldn't get up, so if it's ruined, it's ruined.
Wichita Falls Fire Chief John Reese fears the same areas left underwater in the summer of 2007 when the river crested at more than 24 feet may be hit again.
We just hope that our predictions are wrong, but we're anticipating them to be right at 2007 levels or below.
500 people have been told to leave their homes and they may not be able to go back until next week. For now, all eyes are in the sky with those heavy showers in the forecast this weekend.
Get the car! Get out the car, I'm gonna fucking smoke you! Get out the car! Right now! We ain't playing, get out the car! That's the point, get out! Don't move around! units are back down. Correct. All units back down. Authority of 108 on the scene. County and Powhatan requesting rescue. 350 through headquarters, deploy the taser and OC. It's on his foot. 353 advising deploy taser and OC. His foot's on. Yeah, you're good. Stop it. All right, we're gonna help you out, bud, okay? You okay? We're gonna help you out, all right? Can I help you? You here with us?
Sick. Sick how? Alright, can't hit you with team. Sit up.
Where'd the other one go in at?
I don't think it made connection.
Alright.
Alright, you got someone coming that's gonna clean your eyes out.
What's your name, sir?
David.
David what?
Rogerson.
David Rogerson?
Rogerson.
What's your date of birth? .353 headquarters. Run David Washington, black male born in 1980, please.
Alright, I got an ambulance coming to help you.
Hey, Mr. Washington.
What's wrong with you? I don't know. I've been sick for a week. You ready to go put the cars up?
You okay, man? We're gonna get you help, bud.
Okay.
You understand why you had to get sprayed? You weren't listening to us.
Oh, I didn't. Right. Cover your radio.
Mr. Washington, where do you live at? Any family we can contact for you? Where's that at? Common?
Yeah.
Okay.
The bulletin is based on unsubstantiated information from an informant who claims to have obtained it from members of the Bandidos and another group called the Black Widows. The Texas Department of Public Safety issued this warning saying that they believe that some members of the Bandidos were actually giving the group grenades and C4 explosives to be used to retaliate against police for what happened in Waco, Texas over the weekend. I want you to listen to what the Waco Police Department has to say about this new threat.
The incident that occurred here Sunday afternoon was an absolute tragedy. However, those of you that were there know that we did absolutely nothing to start that. We would ask you to remember that and remind you that although you have totally different ways from us, law enforcement did not start the melee that occurred at Twin Peaks on Sunday afternoon.
Obviously, the message is let's keep the peace here. Authorities, not just in Waco, by the way, but authorities all over the state of Texas are on alert since this shootout happened over the weekend, Poppy.
So you're in Mingus, and this is a town where there was going to be this huge biker event, a rally that was previously planned, and then obviously what transpired last Sunday has meant that it's been canceled. What is the sheriff there doing to prepare in case people show up with any ill intentions?
Yeah, the sheriff tells us that he is prepared for the worst, but again, hoping that nothing will happen, hoping for the best case scenario. He's hoping that it'll be a quiet weekend.